Growing up, my parents always told me no. No to joining the Girl Scouts, no to sleepovers. Everything was no because we were poor and we were immigrants and we didn't do things that other Americans did. I always craved autonomy and wanted to make my own decisions. So one day in college, I had enough. I decided that I was going to do something for myself. I decided to study abroad. And I went to the Amazon jungle. I swam with piranhas. I hiked a volcano. I got diarrhea while riding a horse. I became a woman possessed with all this freedom that I'd been missing out on my whole life. This led me to spend 6 months in Europe on new adventures, then Southeast Asia, and then I began plotting a way to be abroad long term. And I found the perfect plan, the Peace Corps. I applied and I got an assignment in Colombia. I was on cloud 9. And before moving to Colombia, I decided to travel in Brazil for a couple months. So in the final months of preparation, I said bye to my friends and family, I gave away my things, and then, a month before I left, I met someone. It was the worst possible timing. I was moving to South America for 2.5 years in a couple weeks. The month we had together was torture. I felt like I was falling in love, but was I? I just met this person. I felt tempted to halt my travel plans to see where this might go. But it'd be crazy to do that for someone I just met, right? So when he dropped me off at the airport, I chose to say goodbye. But my excitement for South America had been dampened. When I got to Brazil, I was overwhelmed by its beauty. There were white sand beaches with turquoise water and lush green palm trees that cooled you from the thick, warm air. I headed to a remote farm in the rainforest. There were wild passion fruit growing on the trees, waterfalls, colorful birds flying. But I was miserable. One moment, I'd be kayaking down the river. Then, I'd be laying in bed crying, wondering if moving abroad was a huge mistake. Dancing in a drum circle, laying in fetal position on the ground. I asked myself, was I letting go of the love of my life? Am I being the dumbest person ever, thinking about some guy I just met while I'm in a tropical paradise? Or should I just go back home? I went to bed one night, miserable with all these thoughts. And I was sleeping when I woke up to loud noises. As my eyes focused, I saw that there was a gun in my face. I heard screaming and things breaking. I saw that people were tied up. I then realized that I was tied up too. Armed gunmen in masks were holding us hostage and were ransacking the farm. I saw fire and violence. My heart was racing, but it felt like everything was happening in slow motion. After hours of chaos, some members of our farm had escaped, and our captors rushed to catch them, leaving the rest of us tied up. We somehow untied ourselves and hid together in the darkness, and we waited, uncertain if they'd be coming back. Eventually, the sun rose. Hours passed, and the sun was full in the sky. It seemed like we were alone. I finally walked out into the open, and it was a devastatingly beautiful day. Wild toucans were flying above, and the jungle leaves swayed by the glistening river. I fell to my knees, and I finally cried. My body felt so heavy, and I felt so far from home. The gunmen had destroyed everything, but my passport was miraculously found in the rubble. All of a sudden, I was back on a plane home, and back in the arms of the man I'd just begun to love. And in a way, it's like the universe made a decision for me and brought me home. I should have felt relief that this was all over. I thought this was what I wanted, to be back safely in love. But maybe what I wanted changed after what happened in Brazil. My friends and family assumed that this was the end of the story. I'd stay home and recuperate. Going to the Peace Corps now was out of the question, because if there was anywhere that I'd be taken hostage again, probably be Colombia. I knew that I just went through something big, and I knew that I had some healing to do. But in a strange way, Being forced to come home from Brazil made my desire to go back to South America even stronger. I didn't want what happened to me to be the deciding factor. I wanted the agency to decide. So I left for the airport. I kissed my partner goodbye again, this time knowing that I loved him deeply, but I was making this choice for myself. Thank you.